You're tuned in to The Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This podcast is being brought to you by my inspiring new book titled Courage is a Muscle, Using Heart to Power Your Entrepreneurial Dreams. You can grab your copy today on Amazon.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another hot episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria, and today I'm speaking with my wonderful guest by the name of Stefanie Bloom. And Stefanie is an actress and model. Today she's going to be visiting with us, talking about her new films. She's appeared in countless films and TV shows, obviously, and she's also doing her modeling thing, so we'll hear a little bit about that. And today she is going to not only talk about her career and upcoming projects, but we'll also be hearing a little bit about the film industry and just, the art of being creative. So definitely tune in, guys. Make sure that you're plugged in for this one, and we will get the ball rolling. So Stefanie, what is up? Thanks so much for visiting. How are you doing today?
I am doing so good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to talk to you and just talk about everything post-COVID and work and everything that we use in this business to be creative. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am excited as well. And I love the fact that you use the term post-COVID because it seems like we're, getting out and being able to get a little bit of fresh air now.
Yes.
Slowly but surely.
Take that mask off and enjoy life again.
Right. And breathe, right? Most importantly, get you some fresh air. Yeah, perfect. Well, hey, like I said, I'm glad to have you on. Let's start with give us a little bit of taste. Give us a background of who you are for those who are not familiar, and then we're gonna get moving forward.
So I have been acting and modeling since I was 9 years old. I grew up in New York. I still live here. I travel a lot now, but it's just one of those things. I feel like early on in life, when you're in school, when you're in elementary school, and everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you get older? I feel like kids kind of know, right? Don't you have that feeling? Yeah. So everybody, can say anything under the sun. They could say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. And they could think of, the craziest things in the world. And ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an actor. Always. I always wanted to do something like performing. I did school plays. I always did something where I could be not another person, but maybe like another character, just showing myself in a different way, pretending to be somebody else. Whether you're playing with dolls when you're little or, as you get older, you get into plays and you can branch off and you can do modeling. There's so many different ways to be creative, whether you do music, whether you do TV. I always wanted to be an actor. And life gets in the way and sometimes you're not given that opportunity to stick with it because I've known people that have done it since they were babies. Yeah. And, they chose this as their number one thing. They're homeschooled or, they'll travel around. I'm one of 5 children. So I was, home.
Yeah.
And when things weren't so electronic back then. So you had to actually get up, go to the city, and you had to audition. If your face wasn't there, you weren't considered. It's not like... Right? It's not like it is now where you could just click of a button, submit yourself, or you can have your agent. So, it was a little iffy when I was younger. So I kind of dipped in and out of it. And then as I got older, I was able to branch off on my own. I got back into it full time. And then I kind of, I took a break. I had a family. I have 3 kids now, and I'm back in it full force again. So I feel like it's something that no matter what you do, even if you love the arts, if you love theater, if you love music, if you love even writing, if you're, anything, I just feel like you always go back to what you love. And this is something I love. So I've always done it, whether I've branched off and done other things or had like a family life. I've just always stuck with the entertainment industry. So that's where I am today. And many years later, I am still doing it.
Hey, thankfully, and I'm glad because you got to do what you love. Like I'm so in agreement with you there. Like it's no matter how much you try to push down, the fact that you want to be an artist or you want to act or maybe you want to be some politician. Just whatever the case is, you never lose that, right? You never lose that drive. So I love the fact that you touched on that. Because that's true, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like, sometimes it's not frowned upon, but, people seem to think in life, you have to look for stability, and you have to look for something that can, you have to have it embedded in you, that you have to be like a family person, or you just have to work your 9 to 5, which is fine. Yeah. But I just feel like, for people like us who just love to be creative and do something in the arts, I feel like it's always there. No matter if you don't have the opportunity to showcase it through TV, film, or anything else, music, it's just something that's always there. I mean, you could be playing a guitar in a coffee shop. I mean, anything that just expresses yourself, whatever makes you happy. That's just something I've always done since I was little. I just always came back to it. And now that, my kids are a little bit older, I've just pursued it full time. And I feel like it's one of those things where that old saying, well, you got to be in it to win it. Yeah, you absolutely do. You have to just keep going for it. You can't lose touch if that's what you want to do. And I think that goes for anything, not just, entertainment.
Entertainment, yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So I just feel like that's kind of where I am today. I've always stuck with it. It's just always something I wanted to go back to, something I always loved. And when I wasn't doing it, I was missing it. So And what's so amazing about this industry is that you can just go back to it whenever you want to. You could pick up and restart anytime you want.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. And it's funny that you mentioned that because like you said, as time goes on and you get older, it's like people assume that you automatically kind of max out or you age out of doing something creative, which is absolutely ridiculous to me because, in my experience, it seems like when you're doing the stuff that you enjoy, that's when everything else flows, right? As opposed to being forced to do something else. Yeah.
I think, it just comes naturally when you want to do it, not when, it's something you have to do or, you're obligated to do. I think, and if anything, I love how you could branch off and do anything you want. You don't have to just stick with one thing. You could do music and you can act and, you can mix the two. You could model. You could do anything you want. You could help others. You don't have to. You could become an agent, let's say, later in life, and help younger actors become what they want to do. Like I just feel like there's so many outlets and so many opportunities, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, and I've stuck with it. So I do feel like in the future. Once I feel like when you're doing something you love or when you've kind of, milestone, people want to branch off. Like some people want to produce and some people want to direct. And I feel like maybe one day, but I feel like I haven't fulfilled my, my acting, my acting goal. So I'm like, I don't want to get behind the camera yet, but it's so intriguing to me. Yeah. Like I have such an admiration for that. I think it's amazing. Like, I just feel like I'm doing the easy part and they're doing they're the movie magic. So I'm like, wow, that would be that's like a little goal for myself that I would love to do one day, get behind the camera. But, like I said, I feel like you could just branch off and take it wherever you want to. But I just feel like it's embedded in you from a young age, I think.
That you already have it. Yeah. And, the good thing about it is the fact that, you knew from an early age, obviously, that you were going to stick with that, and you took a break. So that's probably why you're feeling, like you still have more to give in terms of acting. Like, and I definitely have no doubt that you will be behind the camera doing the directing and things like that in the future. But I was checking out your couple of your reels, and a couple of those characters were. I was like, they are absolutely ridiculous. I think it was the moms. Monsters. Which one is that? With that role? And I was saying to myself, so when you just mentioned that your kids are older, now that's the image that popped in my head. I was like, I know she was not one of those parents that were at the school trying to get her daughter on the cheer squad. That's so crazy. But acting is like that,
gosh.
yeah.
I really I ask myself, I'm like, wow, how do I get myself in these positions sometimes?
Right.
I mean, I played a mom on a show called Momsters years back. And it was like based off a true story on those, you ever see the Discovery Channel where like, it's like something I never want to watch in the dark. And I always have to keep my doors locked if I turn the channel on, because it's like, those are real stories.
That's so crazy.
So I get kind of freaked out that I'm portraying, something that really happened. And it was a show about these moms that just would do anything. They kind of lived their lives through their kids, and they would kill people. I mean, not like intentionally, but it was something based off of like a cheerleading squad, and it ended up in death. And I'm like, wow, how do I get myself in this position?
Right.
But it's kind of fun to be killed on screen. And I'm like, wait a minute, this really happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
Hey, well, look, in addition to that, guys, you definitely have to go to her site, and we'll get to that here in a bit, just to kind of check out the diversity of talent. But yeah, that one, and obviously there's several more, and I know more recently you have a couple of other films. You want to kind of get into like some of the newer projects that you've just released, and I know there's some things that are still in production that you're working on as well.
Yeah, so luckily I had some things, I hate to put it this way, but I had some things going on before COVID. Yeah. And then I feel like a lot of projects waited, and then they're releasing them now that things are a little bit, more easygoing, and people are able to watch things a little bit easier. They're not so confined. But I hate to put it that way, pre and post COVID.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah, so kind of, before COVID, I had done a film with Dean Cain, who used to play Superman, who is amazing, in a movie called 2050. Mm-hmm. And it's now streaming on IMDb, actually, Amazon. And the film, the producers actually just came out with, and I'm not sure when they're going to completely unveil it, but they came out with dolls from the movie.
Right, I saw that trailer.
That's a whole other conversation in
exactly.
itself. But you get to. I've just never experienced anything like that before, so I thought that was a really cool moment, I guess, in the sci-fi genre, where you just that's the first and only time I've ever done that kind of category. But I was just like, wow, this is really interesting that they've taken this to the next level, and so I believe that they're going to come out with something, to unveil that soon. And then there was actually a couple of films that, I kind of did a few things over COVID. And one of them was, actually, I just wrapped up filming Baking Up Love, where I was in Illinois for a month. And that one is, totally different end of the spectrum. Beautiful, beautiful story. It's a romantic comedy. Actually, you might know it's Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees in it.
Yeah.
And David Otunga, who used to be a wrestler, is in it. He's also done many, 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 many acting jobs. And I love that I got to come in and play the villain of this, it's a small town, Morton in Illinois, and it's I guess it's known as the pumpkin capital of the world. So, it was actually pretty exciting. So we got to film there for a month, and it's just a romantic comedy about, a bake-off and a competition, and I come in and kind of sabotage it. I don't want to give too much away, but I play the villain. I'm like, woo, yay!
Oh, my goodness.
It's always fun to be the villain.
You know what? It's fun to be the villain because, you can just kind of there's more creativity with that to me. Like, you could just kind of pull from anywhere. But, now that you're talking about that, which roles do you prefer? Do you prefer, the more, nonchalant, kind of laid back type character roles, or do you like to raise a lot of hell? Are you looking to stir up things a little bit more? Which roles do you prefer?
I love excitement. I love excitement. I love doing things that, aren't usually done every day in film. Being the love interest or playing something serious. I really feel like that does challenge you as an actor, but come on, we love the fun stuff. I love to come in and I love to be the villain. I love to be the sexy one. I love to just kind of cause a ruckus. I've kind of dabbled in each kind of category. I've done the murder shows. I've played the bad guy, and I've also, I've played the mom role, but I think, it's a little more fun when you get that script and you're like, ooh, I get to come in and just shake things up,
Exactly.
So,
That's a little bit easier.
I think it's a little bit. Yeah, it brings a little bit more excitement to the role and to the day. But usually those roles don't last. I either get killed off or I'm
right.
So
when they start killing you off, yeah. I'll tell you what, I can imagine it makes a difference.
Yes. If I'm coming in to, I guess, sabotage things, that role doesn't last as many days, but, it is fun. And I do love being a part of, the different casts that I get to meet and all the different productions. But that leads me to the end of this summer, I'm going to be filming a TV series called The Congressman, where I get to play sort of like a TV personality. And it's a murder mystery. It's a thriller where I'm a part of a type of scheme like that. But this time I'm not the bad person. I just come in and I'm kind of shifting towards a different gear where I'm trying to find out from I don't want to say a crooked, but he's got a dark side, the congressman, where I don't want to give that story away, but there's more than the eye meets when you watch the show, but it's a dark thriller, and it's going to be really, really exciting. It's directed by Greg Sisco, and I think I start filming the end of the summer, maybe beginning of fall.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that'll be here before you know it. Time is just,
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like the summers just kind of are gone in a blink of an eye,
Yeah. I mean, it's going by I don't know, I'm trying to savor every second of summer that I can, just to kind of get a break, just to get a break somewhere, which brings me to this, speaking of breaks, do you ever get tired? What I guess, let me try to figure out what's the good way to put this. As far as filming, because we know that you're in between the filming and then also as a model, there's photo shoots and things like that. Do you ever find yourself look, just give me 2 weeks off, even though it's something that you enjoy, you love it, you're passionate about it, this is your dream career and all that other good stuff. But do you ever just feel look, y'all go to my voicemail for a couple of weeks and then I'll reach out when I'm ready?
I thought that exact thing when COVID happened. I was I was so used to the hustle, and it's still not back 100%.
Right. Yeah.
I was, in Manhattan 5 days a week, all day, dealing with traffic, 3 hours of traffic some day. It was nonstop. And then COVID happened, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of nice. It was just everything went to a dead stop, and I felt like it wasn't just I was on a break. Everybody was on a break. We were forced on a break.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I feel like that itch came back, where it's and everybody was kind of okay, when are things going to pick up again? And I didn't realize until now that, it's not fully back, but I would say it's there. I'm, a good portion of working again. I feel like I was wow, I didn't realize how much I just didn't stop to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of appreciate that little break, because I was I couldn't have, I'm I did that 5 days a week. I didn't have a moment to myself. And I don't know, it was nice to kind of have that moment and, even just deal with what was going on in the world. But it was wow, I'm home,
Exactly.
I'm home dealing, and I'm realizing I don't know. It was kind of a little bit of a shock for me, where I was I couldn't believe how much how much I was doing at the time. But now that, things are starting to pick up again, I wouldn't say it's 100% back to normal, but things are picking up, and it feels nice. But I don't know if I would go back to that, that hustle of just roaming around and traveling. I think we're all kind of a little apprehensive on how much we really put into things, and how this kind of made things a little bit easier in a way. I don't know if that's the right term, but I would say as far as auditioning and submitting for things, or, a lot of things could be done electronically, where we didn't think of that before.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
I think this kind of brought a different route or a different light to things now, where, it's not even just with the entertainment industry. You think about with schools and stuff, a lot could be done electronically, where we didn't do that before.
Exactly.
It kind of does make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, it
but
definitely does.
I really think it just opened our eyes to a lot of things. And now that I did realize how much traveling and effort you put into everything, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of glad that we're taking a different route and things are a little calmer now. And, it kind of, I wouldn't say it minimizes anything, because I do feel like, with theater opening back up, I do feel like things will be hectic again. But I just think, I don't think anybody will be as crazy as it was before.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I totally agree. And I want to go into a little bit about the film industry, just because I know we just talked about how, it should be easier. Things are a little bit more simplified. We can do things electronically. And for like any aspiring actress or actor, now you, like back in the day, you would be like, oh yeah, you got to go to LA, or you have to be in a certain city in order to get an opportunity as an actor or a model. I think from what I remember, the big thing was this: for modeling, New York; for acting, LA, right? Like that was the whole
right.
Yeah, I would always hear that. Yeah. But now with things changing as they have, and within your experience, like you just said, hey, I'm from New York. I live in New York, and this is where I've kind of based my career, just kind of getting opportunities. But like, what are your tips for aspiring actors who are trying to get their foot in the door and trying to get these opportunities and exposures? Like, since we don't have to actually be on physical location, like what are some things that you would recommend as a professional actress who's been doing it for a while?
Well, I think the first thing is, I think just asking for help. I honestly do. I think people are so intimidated. I think everyone thinks that this is such a one-way business. It's not. I think as big as an industry as this is, it's a small world. And I think you just need to reach out and ask for help. I was just actually mentioning this to another actress the other day. Everything is electronic now. Yeah. So you're right. You don't have to just live in New York. You don't have to just live in LA. I actually book more film in LA, and I live in New York, but my family resides in New York, so I'm not going to pick up everything and go. I mean, some actors and performers can do that, but I just chose to pick New York as my base. I think you just need to ask for help. I think there's a lot of information, but there's always that basic, I think, rule where everyone just thinks automatically, I have to get representation. I have to get I need a manager. I need an agent, which yes, you do. But I think it's all about, maybe, I don't know if this is the right way of saying it. It's all about selling yourself. I think getting yourself out there. There's so many jobs that I've booked purely on my own. Meanwhile, yes, an agent will get you the bigger jobs. They will expose you to, more casting directors, let's say, or, just other opportunities that you won't, as a beginner, be able to reach out and do. But I think you just need to sort of sell yourself, and you need to get yourself out there and ask for help. I think that's the main thing. Ask another actor, ask another model. You don't have to just think it's such an intimidating business, no matter what like area you're in. It really is. It's such an intimidating thing. And I really think that if you just reach out and ask for help, I think that will catapult you in a big way. And just submit yourself, just get yourself out there, because you're able to do that now. As where, like me, for growing up, you weren't able to. Everything was paper, and you had to show up. And I think you have to really just submit yourself. And really, the number one thing for me, I think, even to this day, I still ask people, I'm like, oh, listen, who do you use for this? Or I need a photographer for a headshot. Who do you know? Everything in this business is word of mouth, everything. So if you're not going to ask for help, you're not going to get help. If you need a photographer for a headshot, or if you need something, you want to update your look, you got to reach out. You got to see who people are using. And, ask that new photographer that maybe needs to build their work up to help you build your work up. I just think you need to reach out and ask. Wow. I think that's the biggest thing.
Reach out and ask. And speaking of which, as far as being prepared to reach out and establish those connections, like give us like 2 to 3 things that are a must have for aspiring actors, and also for models. Like what are 2 to 3 things that they have to have ready to go when they before they start reaching out?
Well, I do think, the one thing that they ask for is either a good headshot or a good portfolio. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be, New York or LA's biggest photographer. It could be a friend taking a picture of you on a Sony camera. Like it could just be, I think you need a good headshot that will really get you through the door. And I think experience. Everybody thinks, oh, let me go to acting school. I'll tell you something. I never went to acting school. I did plays in school.
Yeah.
Yes. I think the background and the knowledge, yes, absolutely. If that's your key to go to school for acting, then you do that. I think that experience is more useful than anything else. If you have time and you have the money to put into acting classes, sure, go for it. But I think me personally, I learn more on a set than I do in a class.
Wow.
My own learning somebody else's technique for me to use on camera is like, I don't know how to put this, but it's like when you're learning how to drive, when somebody tells you, okay, when you're backing out of a spot or when you're backing out of your driveway, look in the rear view mirror. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. First, I'm going to look when I'm ready to look.
Exactly. Right. Makes more sense.
I feel like using. And I'm not knocking it in any way. I think some people need that guidance, and that's fine. But for me personally, I learned more just by being on set. And you don't have to be the lead role. You don't have to be the supporting role. If you want to just get on set and learn how things go, be that extra. Because everybody started from somewhere. You don't just wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to be the lead in a film. And I've
would
done
be great.
jobs where I wasn't even paid.
Yeah.
I wasn't even paid, and I was like, you know what? This is a lead role. This is something I started out. I needed something to put on my resume.
Yeah.
So you do that. I think you just have to sacrifice and kind of pull and tug where you need help in areas or where you need to excel and put things. You always want to build your resume. You always want to keep topping yourself and going for the better roles. But I think just if you're starting out or you want to experience something, I think being on set and being a part of the mix is much more of a learning experience. I think definitely go for that. And a good headshot.
All right. She has given y'all the gems.
Yeah.
Gotta have that good headshot and the experience. And you know what? I look, I'm telling you, because sometimes like I try not to assume that people know things, especially starting out, like it can be intimidating, like you said, just asking for help. But like you said, if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So we gotta be able to open our mouths a bit and to really just kind of talk and connect. And that's one of the beautiful things of like now, when we were, during COVID, everybody was doing more digital and electronic communication. And now, you still have those relationships. So just expanding those is a good start to me. And another thing, like before we get ready to close a bit later, I want to talk about like the creative aspects of being a actress, like specifically for you. Like, what do you enjoy most about the creativity part of what you do?
For me, I kind of separate the two. I don't know how to put it because this is going to sound, I don't know if it's embarrassing or if it's like, if it's going to sound silly, but I love creative people. And I feel like you could spot them a mile away. You really can. Like you could spot somebody, let's say, who's, a healthcare worker, or there's just, I feel like you could kind of pinpoint, like, someone who's a teacher or something. I could spot somebody who is like in the business a mile away. And I just love it. I love because they're so creative, no matter what you do. I just love being around people that are just so open-minded and so creative. Like it's a different world. And when you're in that world, when you're with, I guess, people that aspire to do the same thing as you, you feel like you're at home.
Yeah.
So I love being around people that are just creative. I love people in the music industry. I love people in theater. I just love learning more about the business, because you can never stop learning about this business. There's not like one set rule or one set way. So I love being around people that just love to be creative, whether it's writing. I love people that, a bunch of my friends who, put novels out and they don't have agents or they don't have like an outlet. I'm like, okay, give me your book. I want to read your book. I want to promote your book in any way. Like, I just feel like you're here to help one another. And that's the kind of people I love to be around. And I feel like I find that a lot in this industry. And another thing is too, I don't know. I guess it's maybe from going back from when I was a little girl. I just love performing. I love performing. I can't sing for hell, but
right. That's okay.
I love being on stage. I love being on camera. I love memorizing scripts. I love being a different character. I love being somebody else. Is that weird? Does that sound funny?
No, that sounds like a good deal.
I mean, does that sound like I'm a little girl, like playing with dolls? I love pretending. Something I've enjoyed all my life. And, as silly as it sounds, at my age, I'm like, you know what? I kind of love playing dress up, and I love being different things. A reporter one day, the next week, I'm playing a robot. It's just it's so
it doesn't sound weird. No, you know what? It doesn't sound weird. And I'll even put myself out there and say that, hey, I'm with you. You got to be able to imagine and to, if you want to step into a different role and a different character, you got to do that. I think the biggest thing is, as adults, we end up suppressing a lot of the childhood stuff that we aspire to be. And so that's, because we think it's embarrassing. That's why a majority of us never go back to that. But hey, kudos to you. And like I said, the fact that you are still doing it, this many years later, you're doing what you enjoy. Like, that's going to take you light years ahead. And it's unfortunate that some of us will not choose that route, because I think that just kind of, that's what shrivels you up, right? I don't know. I think that just kind of leads to,
you know what? I do feel like it's very, very easy to get caught up in this business.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, you can definitely get, I guess, what do they call it? You can, get a big head for what, because this is the life everybody wants. It's glamorous. I mean, let's be real. It's a glamorous life once you get to that, point. But people like me, I'm happy to be working. I don't need to, be on a cover of a magazine. I don't need to be like on a news show. If I'm working, I'm happy. If I'm able to do this as a job, I am 100% fulfilled. And some people, they do get caught up, and it is very easy to get caught up in this business because there's a lot of perks, and there's a lot of partying, and there's a lot of fun that goes with it. Yeah. But everybody's situation is different. And I just love that I get to like flip a switch, come home, and, I have my 3 kids.
Exactly.
So, okay, now I'm back to mommy.
Right. Now that's the life I'm talking about. I love it, Stephanie. Look, before we get ready to wrap up, let us know. I know you gave us a brief of upcoming projects. Anything else that you're working on that you want to share? Make sure to drop that, and then a couple of words of encouragement, if you will, before we end.
So, I mean, you could definitely go on any of my sites. I mean, I'm always promoting my work. You can definitely go to Amazon. It has a lot of my projects on there, Untitled. Right now, you can watch 2050, Pure Flicks. I've done a bunch of projects for director Candace Kane. She's got a million projects out. Amazing, amazing work. And, as silly as it sounds, and as much as you hear it all the time, it is so, so true. You have to be in it to win it. Like, you have to just keep pursuing it. Whether you want to take 6 months off, 6 years off, you want to come back to it, then you can do it. I honestly believe that. And I am proof of it, because I keep doing it, and somehow I keep working.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm so thankful for it.
Hey, y'all better take notes and check it out. I mean, I just love the fact that you were inspired to just continue what it was that you enjoyed. So that in itself is a testimony to the fact that anything is possible, right? So we are going to
exactly
right. So we'll end it there. Did you drop your social handles? I think you. Let me know if you did that or not. If not, you can just go ahead and drop it again.
No,
Why not?
It's all pretty much the same. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's Stefanie Bloom. And I just, like I said, I always promote my work. I'm always, promoting other people that help promote me. And I feel like it's sort of like I'll help you out, you help me kind of business. So I'm always promoting, no matter who I work with or who supports me, I'll support you. I love it.
All right. Sounds good, guys. We have just finished chatting with Stefanie Bloom, like I said, who is an actress and model. Make sure you guys connect. Go check out her work. And Stefanie, thanks so much for being a guest. We enjoyed you. And when you start filming again, like later in the fall, let's reconnect and talk about the new shows that that you have. So I think that's going to be great.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.